You know, when I think about Paradise, Utah, I don't think about much besides empty fields, mountains, snow, south end of Cache Valley. There's not a whole lot here, but there is one thing here in Paradise, Utah that you definitely need to be aware of. As a matter of fact, it's probably the most well-kept secret in all of Cache Valley, and it's this place, the Cracker Barrel, and it's part of this week's Taste of Cache.
The Cracker Barrel has a very unique Cache Valley history. Originally, the land upon which the building is constructed housed a ZCMI trading post. In the 1950s, the trading post became a Cracker Barrel general store. Eventually, a dining area was installed behind the general store, and food began to be served regularly. Even when business tapered off and started dying at the general store, one item on the menu kept the customers always coming back to the Cracker Barrel for more. What's the meal that gives the Cracker Barrel its slice in paradise?
The prime rib is what really sets us apart from everywhere else. I have regulars from Salt Lake and Preston that come every weekend just to have the prime rib.
Really?
Yeah, and they drive all the way. Yeah, they drive all the way. And interesting story, they stopped in a restaurant in Layton and asked their waiter if their prime rib was good. I'm not sure what the establishment was. He said, yeah, we do have prime rib. And they're recalling this story to me, the couple. And then he kind of whispered and said, but if you want the best prime rib, you go to the Cracker Barrel up in Paradise, Utah. And they showed up for dinner that night and told me that story. So.
Now, I showed up at lunchtime, but I learned a lot about prime rib, especially that cooking prime rib is slightly more complicated than one might think. The former owner of the Cracker Barrel had a very unique way of doing things that showed dedication and a hunger for high-quality, old-fashioned cooking.
The guy that owned it before, his name was Alan, he used to actually have these barbecue pits, these big steel ones that were outside, and that's how we got that good taste, because it was like old-fashioned cooking, and he would stay here for like all night long and cook it himself.
Since then, the method of cooking the prime rib has been modernized substantially.
We use this oven. It's called the Rationale. We ordered it from France, actually. It's all digital, it's got a computer in it, it does everything.
The Cracker Barrel was purchased and renovated in March of 2008 by John and Annette Drew, world-class chefs. Of course, the most wonderful thing about the Cracker Barrel is the food. I was fortunate enough to be able to sample the heavenly delights, and was more than pleased. Next stop, the Cracker Barrel in Paradise, Utah for some high-quality prime rib on a Friday night.
So whether you want to try out the prime rib on the weekends, or you're just in the mood for lunch, I definitely recommend the Cracker Barrel. It gets an A in my book. For Cache Rendezvous, I'm Landon Hemsley.